Hey everyone, welcome to Truth for the People podcast. Thanks for tuning in. This episode is a bit of a different one. It's a bit more raw, but we love it. We started recording before I was even ready to record, and we jumped right into it from the get-go. With that said, I just want to give you all a quick reminder to please follow or subscribe to the podcast so you can be updated and notified every time a new episode comes out. Also, if you can please leave a review or rating on your platform if it's offered, that would be very helpful. For those of you following us on YouTube, I've noticed a lot of you aren't subscribed. Please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be kept up to date with new episodes, and hit that like button to help get us into that YouTube algorithm. One more request: share this podcast with everyone you know on social media and in person. It could touch someone and change their lives in some way. Other than that, thank you for checking in with us on this episode. Hope you enjoy our growing pains.
Maybe
I don't think that the podcast could. It's not like you can't just be a maverick, you know.
Mm-hmm. What's a maverick?
A maverick is just a term. It's like a maverick is like a horse who just goes about everywhere, like a free spirit.
So
a maverick is like a free spirit.
Like what do you
So what I'm saying is, in terms of content, I don't think as a podcast, the subject or the content could be free spirited. You know, like let's talk about anything and everything.
What?
Because I don't think you can at this point get, quality content then. It's like we're not.
There's a lot of time effort to do that. Like
the reason why other podcasts can do that and be successful is because they have experts, if you would, in those fields. Like you can address and talk about a lot of different things because you have people who,
like Joe Rogan brings in a health expert or
a health expert, and you don't know much in health. And it's interesting because your audience, the vast majority of them are not health experts either. So you guys are both together delving into the mind of that person or just learning new things.
Like if you would have Alex Jones, that guy's a well of information right there, of knowledge, obviously in his own way, but you can easily have a 3-4 hour conversation with that guy. You know? Yeah, I don't know. Like,
where's the other headset?
What? I think he has it. It's on the ground. Is it plugged in?
Yeah. Switch it around.
I give him this.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
You're talking about how if you had Alex Jones.
Oh no.
Put your headset on so you can see if it works.
Test. No, mine's not working. Okay. What do you think? Yeah, working now. What do you say that, like, what do we have to focus on a topic or what would you say, what would you think hypothetically if it's like, hey, no, we're moving forward, then what do you focus in on? Like you said, maybe it's once a week is a lot right now.
It is. And I
would probably maybe agree with that.
Let's say this podcast is Dennis's brainchild, right? It's not ours. So I guess ultimately it's on him. Right. But
I would love to share that with you.
Pardon me?
I would love to share it with you guys.
What? I know, but it's not like
the profits.
It's not about the profits, okay? But it's like this. It's not about that.
It's not about that, obviously.
Okay, let's say you want to share on that, but it's different if it's your own initiative, right? Your initiative is,
who started it off?
Yeah. And it's like if you see it and you grow it to be a success, it's going to be a lot more fulfilling, you know? Like I've never dreamed of doing podcasting, getting it big.
Same. I've never dreamed of ever doing it.
It's not like a personal ambition of mine.
Nor is it mine.
So I guess if we do it, firstly, we should do it because it's enjoyable. But that's the thing. It's hard to enjoy it if you don't feel like you're putting quality out, week in, week out.
Okay, but listen.
And that's not only week in, week out, but however...
Right. I agree. Quality has to be part of it so you can be satisfied as well. But
That and for people.
yeah, but doesn't enjoyment also, I don't know.
Yeah, you could say enjoyment would come over time as this thing, but that if it grows, you know?
Yeah.
But that's a big if.
Does enjoyment take in consideration the listeners, what they think, or do you just kind of do it, you like it, and then you hope it catches some tread?
I think it should be that. Like, you do it, and you do it because you like to, you know?
Like I know obviously you want some quality, but you do it just, hey, I just wanted, like, for me, honestly, I think a very informal, and I think it's been informal, I guess, but like, just like right now, we were talking before we even started, we just pressed it, and we just kept talking, like that's sick.
Because we might as well just keep on going.
That's sick.
Yeah.
And if we had something to describe our conversation so far, and if I had an episode title, it would be birthing pains. You know,
Let's do it.
but yeah, and I think I think in order to have a quality podcast or something, let's take just podcast because that's what we're doing. You know, in order to have a quality podcast, I think especially if you do not have the resources to always bring in new blood, you know, you don't have the resources to constantly. It's not just if you have the resource, but if stylistically you're not a guest centric, you know, there's a lot then on the front end that you have to do in order to put out quality, I think, right? So there's a lot on the front end, like, let's say brainstorm, because some of the things that we can't do is come and speak the same things over and over, right?
Right.
Because
Like,
we've said we
always
do not
politics,
we do not want to be, you know, politically centered. We don't want to be politically driven podcast.
To not be a main driver
And
of the
yet,
podcast. Yeah.
that is the easiest thing to come and do here and just get heated about, you know, what's going on in our day and age.
Yeah. It's easy to, because that's what we're all dealing with the most at the moment.
But that's
At
what I was
least on
saying.
large
In order
scale.
to have quality content, let's say you have to do a lot on the front end. What should we discuss about? Maybe,
You mean
and
the
you have to
back
sit there and maybe inform yourself. You have to do research. You have to scour the web. You have to read, like,
You have
and then there's only so many, like, there's only so much creative juice, if you will, to come up with things to talk. Like, hey, maybe we should talk about this. Maybe we should talk about this.
Maybe we should hire
And
a producer.
Yeah, but
joking.
listen. But I guarantee you, those
I
other
tried.
podcasts have producers,
Oh, they do.
and
That's what Jamie is on Joe Rogan.
I don't know. I don't know if he's a producer.
He is. That's what he calls himself on his Instagram page.
He probably says that in terms of
Scheduling.
he's a producer, and in terms of scheduling, in terms of doing the audio, the AV, right? But in terms of coming up with the
runs
creative,
audio, he runs the video. He runs.
yeah, but that's different. What I'm saying is, it's different because this is a podcast. It's very raw. You don't have to do much processing, right? But
It's not like Jimmy Fallon.
as a
you know?
producer, yeah, like, I guarantee you those other podcasts have people who are just, they're coming up
They have
with,
teams,
they're on the
bro.
creative side of things, right? They're trying to come up with ideas as to,
They have
you know,
teams, man.
yeah.
Writers. They
Yeah.
have all types of.
And it's hard because this is a very saturated field right here.
I was gonna-
podcasting.
podcast right
no,
now.
it's not.
Right now, it
No, it's
seems
not.
like everybody's doing
Okay.
a podcast.
It's probably not
That's
like
YouTube. With podcast,
there's still tens
Michelle
of
Obama's
thousands.
doing a podcast. Like,
Yo, there's still tens of thousands
because
of
it's
podcasts.
easy for them because they already have an audience.
They have clout.
yeah, but I'm
That's
saying,
not even.
I'm just saying, when
But-
it comes to doing a podcast, it is easier to do in a sense because it's more raw, right? There's not
Yeah.
as much post processing.
Not
So
even
it's-
investment, financial
Yeah,
investment.
you
you
just
know,
get a room
monetary
and some
investment.
electricity, and
To
you're
be honest,
good
I
to
think
go.
podcasting costs more than doing YouTube. Because YouTube, you just need a camera.
It depends what you do for you.
Yeah, it depends what you do.
YouTube, you can go on
Unless you're paying to do stuff every day for your channel.
There's people who do rat traps on YouTube, and that's all they do is they do different rat traps, and they have
get
a
millions.
million. Like I've watched some of those videos; they're pretty interesting.
Just rat traps. They set up traps.
Tons of rat traps videos, and they're
That's
interesting.
sick.
But YouTube, without a doubt, they're probably equal. And actually, podcasting is like you said, maybe more expensive because you have. If you want to do it,
if you want a good podcast, you can do a podcast with
same
just
with
your phone.
YouTube, I guess too. If you want you need good cameras and all that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like that's what I'm thinking is, like I was saying, where do we go from here? You know, how do we? Because one thing I do not want to do, I think I've said this before, is like I don't want to come say the same things, do the same things, discuss the same things, and let's say,
I agree with that 100%. I don't want to do that either.
And it's like, you know, at that point, it's just repetition. You're just repeating and the other thing is people were saying about, or someone told me it can't just be an echo chamber either, where you're just going there and you
bring only people that agree with you.
Yeah.
Repeat the same things you repeat. I agree.
Like there's so many different types of podcasts. Like there's other, like Grace to You. That's John MacArthur has a podcast. And there's a lot of religious podcasts who they have like snippets of sermons and stuff or teaching. But that's entirely different because that's not an actual podcast.
Right.
Okay.
But that's easy to do because it's just
it's concentrated or like it's concentrated what type of podcast
it's basically like a radio program in podcast
form.
You just go on Spotify and
see, like if you do something like that, like let's say it's a religious podcast or something. That's easy in the sense of content, in that you know that you're focusing on this topic. Maybe you go through a biblical Bible, or you go on certain topics of the Bible or something, and you can just hit on those for a couple episodes.
Here,
you know, like that. You know what you're doing, but like, and you're saying, what are we doing here then?
Yeah, and
is it just
what are we doing here? And I guess the other question is, I don't know how many people are listening to us now, because it seems like, you know,
pull up the numbers, bro. Pull up the numbers.
And it seems,
let me work on it because the computer's being so slow right now.
And it seems like this is how everything is, right? There's an initial interest peak, and then after that, it fizzles out.
And then you have your fans stick around.
And then it starts growing.
I mean, well, to be determined for us, but
right.
That's the thing.
TBD.
Those people who are, let's say, still listening, still very engaged, if you will, what are they looking for as well? You know, or are they just listening because, hey, I know these guys? That's very likely.
Most listeners probably
at the beginning. That's definitely part of it.
Like
that's definitely the major audience is people who know us.
Like someone was telling me today, his wife, who's from here, my cousin, she listens more often, maybe because she's living in Europe and right now, and she's I know these guys, kind of I know these guys.
These cats.
It reminds me of home. I don't know. You know.
Shout out.
Yeah. I mean, even family members, I don't know how much they listen to podcasts in general, but they listen to ours. And obviously they know us. And with that being said, like, we appreciate that because it's
absolutely
a form of support.
100%.
They're supporting us. But our intent is to reach more.
Right.
To go beyond just...
How do you do that? Do you just keep plugging away? Do you...
Because here's the solution.
Change up what you're doing.
No, here's the thing.
You do have to that's what being creative is, getting creative.
Yeah.
Changing up what you're doing sometimes.
Listen, I don't know why. Maybe this is because I did some indoctrination at the college campuses here. I was indoctrinated.
Liberalism.
Yeah, but like we've all had those, you know, brainstorming exercises. We all had, you know, when we brainstormed with groups and came up with ideas and kind of tried to narrow things down. I think that's something that
must be done. Do you know?
If this is to continue going, you know.
Do you know? You telling me that, I had a little memory coming to mind. I remember as a kid, I was really creative. Like I remember,
And then you weren't anymore.
yeah,
Huh?
I'm not. I mean, if I dig deep, I'm sure we all are. But I remember when they would like, hey, you got to write a short story. This is like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, whatever.
You
You
wrote
know,
a masterpiece.
no, but the imagination, like I
Ran
guess
wild.
it's also about being. I mean, I guess being a child too. Your imagination is like crazy, man. It's like it's so interesting how you can.
I think in part being creative is your scatterbrain. Like it seems like that's something that is very like of a character, a creativity. I don't know how you'd say it. A creative trait, right? A trait of creative people, I think, is their scatterbrain. Is they're just
And then,
always thinking, always their minds
but
going.
then their ability to put something coherent together from that, like writing that short story when I was a kid, or those short stories, and like you're like, how did I make this up? You know, a plot, you know, characters, whatever, and that's as a kid, like you know. So it's like it's kind of interesting how that happens. Like, yeah, it just reminded me of.
They
of
say
that.
that one of the flaws of the education system is that it educates
Just-
people out of that.
It stumps your creativity,
Yeah.
and I would agree with that. I think because it makes you only think a certain way. You know, you have it's this way, like even like the way you do school. Like right now, you don't even understand another way of doing school. Like
No, I guess you could say another way of learning.
another way of learning. In Romania back in the day, they would be done at school by noon. And you can do that here too, but it's hard to imagine because it's just the system is so
Because
ingrained.
people
you know?
want to
So,
their kids
Yeah,
babysit.
or even work-wise.
That's part of it.
Like even work-wise, I don't know where in Spain. I think I heard where in Spain, where in Europe. I think I heard in Spain. One of our friends, Bogdan, was telling us that they work till like noon,
Take a nap.
and they go home. It's like 2 to 4 hour, basically break, and then
And then they go back later.
they'll go back later for like
'Cause it's
another
really hot there,
2,
too.
3, 4 hours.
And then they'll chill at night.
Yeah, and then they'll chill late at night.
Yeah, they have a nightlife there. What do you say? Is there a need of a hiatus? Brainstorm? What?
I think that would be beneficial. Like for here, I think that would be beneficial because maybe that should have been done from the beginning.
Yeah, but maybe at the beginning you're all like, "Oh, you're
In regards
excited.
to
Let's
what?
do this. Let's
Like,
just
what do you-
get started."
Explain more in regards to what you guys are talking about,
Like
so
take
everyone can understand what
take
you're
a
referring
break.
to.
Take a break for X amount of time, whatever will be determined. Reevaluate. Redirect. What do we want to do? What's the direction you want to go in? What do you want to focus on? What type of podcast is this going to be? Like, obviously for now, it's not going to be like a guest type podcast.
Centric.
I mean, obviously you can have people on, but
And one thing that you could do is you could even do
what
Skype. That's not a end of the world.
You can do.
Yeah.
Depends on the connection. But at the end, like if you don't have like, for example, like when you're in school and you got to write an essay, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what do you start off with?
A
A
thesis.
thesis, right?
Yes.
You start off with the thesis. You don't start off with the details. You don't start off with the sub points and the points. You start off with what's the main, what's the statement, thesis statement.
Let's say if
And
it is
that tells me what this whole essay is going to be
if
about.
it is a persuasive, let's say, essay is like, what are you trying to argue? What are you trying to persuade?
Yeah,
What
the thesis tells you what the main point of this essay is, right?
Yeah.
Or it's like when you prepare a sermon,
which you have experience in.
which I have some experience in.
Some.
We'll just say it's
More
some.
than us.
We'll
I'd
say
say.
we'll say some X amount of years. you kind of have, it's kind of like a essay process. Like, okay, what's my point? What am I trying to get across? And then you have like the outline. What are the main points under this idea, under this topic or out of this text, you know? Then you fill in the details.
You're still trying to pull up the statistics.
You got to. So that's,
well, yeah, pull them up.
So right now that's something that we need to figure out if we're to move forward. What's the thesis of the podcast? So what's the direction? Is it a political podcast? Is it, because right now you can't have that guest type like we intended or wanted, you know? That's tough.
Dude, the numbers are up and down over here, man. 36 starts for the last episode,
this last
21 stream.
But this one was only released when?
18th of November.
Monday. Tuesday.
The retainage is low.
No, Tuesday.
See?
What's the retainage?
Towards about
retention.
Oh, people
The
listen
retention.
to a point and then they stop?
about 30 minutes in. On this one, anyway.
Okay,
Let's
average
go.
listen 23 and a half minutes. See other ones. See, it's really
Hey, we have 1,089 starts.
For all, overall.
Oh, yeah, overall. 835
What's up?
streams.
You want
okay,
all-time?
all time, not last couple of days.
The first one had the most, then the second, then the third, then the fourth, and continuing.
I mean, that's kind of logical based on
It's not though.
how old
it's,
it is.
It's
The oldest one is going to have the most listens.
That's almost 400 people, bro.
and here's the thing though.
Actually, it says 148 listeners. Is that they just started more?
That's how many people listened to the podcast.
Like that's from start to finish.
I think more than half, I think.
Okay, so then what streams
Measure,
and
listeners measures the number of unique Spotify users who started an episode in your catalog.
okay, so that's how many people.
Unique. So I think that's people who have their own Spotify account and they're able to link a listen to an account.
Okay, so what's the streams then?
Streams is measured when a Spotify user listened to 60 seconds or more of any episode in your
Can
catalog.
it be the same listener listens, they stop it, they start it the next day again, or something like
don't
that?
think so.
No.
I think it's for each episode.
So
If they listened at least 60 seconds for each episode.
Okay, so that's 835 streams. That's potentially 835 people total.
No, because
No?
it could be the same person.
Oh, different
Each
episodes.
episode.
Yeah. Sorry. 1,089 starts. What's that?
Starts is measured when a Spotify user
He just-
listens to
he just
0
clicks
seconds
it.
or more. Yeah.
Dang.
This thing just started.
And then
followers is measures the number of Spotify users who clicked follow on a podcast in your catalog.
70.
70 followers. That's gone up. So let's go down to
70 is not bad.
Audience.
It's probably just people that we know. There might be some people that we don't know. Who knows?
followers. Hold on, let me not do all time because that looks ridiculous.
Yeah, last
90 days.
90 days.
There you go.
See, look.
See, this is when I went 2 weeks without posting anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was still trending downward before then. Look.
Point is that it was dead. And then podcast comes out and then it drops. Podcast comes out and then it drops. Podcast comes out, then it drops. That's kind of the trend of how things go.
That's kind of like COVID.
Yeah.
Followers. What about followers? Listeners. Go down on the followers.
Flat, wear mask, spike. I'm just kidding.
Okay, go down. Followers.
Slowly gaining traction. Here's what I've learned on the creative side. Listening to YouTubers, listening to podcasts,
take this off.
watching YouTubers, and so on. It's about posting consistently. As long as you're posting consistently, you're going to end up reaching your audience one by one.
What's
At first,
consistently,
it's
though?
one by one. What they say is try to get an episode out once a week, which is what we're trying to do. It's hard. Other people do once
It's
a
hard,
month.
man.
The less you post, the less often you post, the slower you're going to grow.
What if you have
and see results.
what if you have a hiatus and then you come back and you're like boom and you have another huge spike? And then you do that every like 3 weeks, you know?
Kind of like second wave of COVID or third wave of COVID.
Just keep bringing waves of listeners.
Just keep bringing waves of listeners. Like, listen, I'll say this. Hey, let's see male, female. About 50-50, 51, 46, and then there's not specified.
At least we don't have any non-binaries listening.
It wouldn't be bad if we did.
I know.
Then we would tell them the truth, you know. And then our biggest 23 to 27. We have 0 to 17, 10%.
That's our majority of our listeners
let's
are
see
18 to 34.
Let's see the map.
There's
North
actually
America.
a larger list. There's a larger list on Spotify.
And then Austria is 6.
I mean on Anchor.
It's tough once a week.
It is.
Bro.
Even for me, dude.
I know.
I'm still editing the video from last episode.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
don't
done
need
editing.
edit. Just throw that thing on there.
Just throw it on, bro.
But I have 2 cameras, one pointing at me, one pointing at
You can just
him,
have split
on
screen
that
the
one
whole time.
At you guys.
Split screen the whole time.
Lazy and...
We're not RPG gaming here.
Yo.
No, but and then there's also like recording these screens. So people can catch. So I gotta switch between them all. So every episode I gotta watch the whole episode after I
You need
put
to
all
do
the
like
clips
a panel.
together.
You need to put a panel, switch the orientation 90 degrees, have 3 of us in a row, and have one camera.
Yeah. You know, if you do an episode every 2 weeks, that's easier.
Listen, there's no one recipe for success.
I know there isn't.
And that's the
Let
thing.
me guys tell you something too, though. Because, like, I know we're all busy, you know? And recently, my schedule has gotten even busier. I was thinking of
We
getting
have
like
more commitments, and maybe more, even not necessarily more commitments, but maybe more important commitments now, right?
like I'll
the
kind
Lord's
of
work.
yeah, I'll kind of tell you my schedule a bit. Mondays, right now, for now, up until now, wasn't really busy, but will probably be busy from Monday evenings, you know, getting together with a group of guys. Tuesday, you know, prayer at church. Wednesday, youth service. We just started that 2 weeks ago. Thursday, church again, prayer night. Friday, choir practice. Saturday night, usually I go to prayer. Sunday, church. Like I'm busy every evening. Right now, for now, Monday is my only evening that I have off.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to be changing probably this upcoming Monday to next
the
next
next
week or
couple
two.
weeks.
Yeah.
So are we saying what days are available?
Well, Saturdays. Saturdays just not evenings. Like
Yeah, but even then,
Even now.
some Saturday mornings you work.
yeah, but if you get here by 1,
But here's the thing. Okay, yes,
done by
let's
2,
say
3.
you have. Of course, you have a window where you could record. That's not the
Absolutely.
issue.
That's not the issue.
Like I was saying,
that's not the
the
issue.
issue is on the front end, pre-production.
I mean,
That's-
back end, isn't that back end?
No, I'm saying pre-production.
I
not
guess it
post.
depends how you look at it. The way you're looking at
Pre-production.
it, the way he's looking at it makes sense. Well, the way you're looking at it is like behind the camera.
Yeah.
What you're
Yeah,
doing
I'm
behind the
talking
camera.
about pre-production, kind of like figuring things out, figuring direction, coming up with, content, good content or ideas for good content. That's the most difficult and I think most time consuming part.
How
because
long-
you have a time for a
absolutely
window.
I can. Absolutely I can. I'm not saying I can't. I'm saying that, you were talking about the burden. That it's not like this is a burden in that sense, but like everything has a certain burden to it. This included has a certain burden to it.
Work is burdensome.
Work is burdensome, yeah. I think if you do it like every 2 weeks, that helps in every sense. But that's just my opinion. Maybe every 2 weeks, or and kind of
Like if you're getting,
brainstorming and
here's the other thing. Like if it's too much,
And ultimately, this is
Yeah.
your initiative,
Your
your
decision.
brainchild.
yeah.
So, I mean, you could do whatever the heck you want.
Oh, I know. I'm
You could
thinking
do-
about
you could
I'm
do
thinking
solo
about this too
episodes.
because all this stuff matters and I think about it too.
Do like a Bill Burr solo episode.
You can do solo episodes.
I've honestly thought about like what would that look like.
Here's what you could do.
You just have to know what you're going to talk about.
Type in Bill Burr AOC rant on YouTube, and
Bill Burr.
I mean,
I don't know if you should put it on.
No,
line,
it's the most probably swearing you'll ever hear.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
Bill Burr is
it's a ton of swearing, but
else.
it's kind of funny still. Where he rants about AOC's proposed tax plan. We're gonna tax 70%, and he just flips out for 20 minutes and he's swearing.
I've seen this.
this. Or there's a 40-minute one too, but. That's a solo. He's solo going ham for 20 minutes.
This is him talking about the backlash on that.
So there's ways to do it. Like Alex Jones
does.
He does solo.
You can do solo if you have something you're talking about and want to like kind of just tell the listeners.
I'm sure at some point I might end up doing a solo one.
Why not?
Listen, it's not even that, but like
you don't got to go that long necessarily.
I gotta sneeze.
That's another thing I was going to say. How long does an episode should be?
You just mute me. I'm going to sneeze.
Maybe up to an hour? Or no, I mean up to 2 hours, an hour and a half, an hour. What's ideal? Or just however long it goes?
In regards to length of episodes?
Yeah.
I've never put a limit on it.
Yeah, I know.
If we look at...
There shouldn't be necessarily a limit, but I'm just asking like what's...
If we look at retention rate...
Let's look at retention for a few of the episodes because we only looked at one of them.
All right, which one should we check?
Let's see the first one. Retention's probably high on this.
It's been about 50% the whole way, approximately.
Retention is...
46,
okay,
45%
only 28%
the whole way,
completed it.
But
that's
40% of people...
consistent.
40% of people got through...
Basically...
3/4 of it.
43 minutes of it. Okay, let's go to the next episodes. Just a couple of them at least.
Watch, you're going to see them drop more and more. Retention. 31% complete, yeah.
So, Jonathan's was started up at 57. They all start high, and then they all drop about halfway. So this one dropped a bit more on the retention rate. It's just a different topic. It's not everyone's interested in business type things.
Just like you don't listen to every one of Joe Rogan's. I certainly don't.
Exactly. Okay, this one's us. The first one where he did all three of us.
38% complete. 50. Yeah.
Closer to 50%.
An average listen, an hour 36 minutes.
Yeah, which is almost the whole podcast, I think.
That's third one?
Yeah.
Well,
this is me and
Narc.
Narc
Told
now,
that was their best one,
which is just me and Narcis at this point.
50%. Wow.
Went higher.
50% completed. That is pretty good.
It also all depends on
the conversation.
And here's the other thing.
Go up.
On the first ones at the beginning, there was a lot of interest, and then there was a lot of trying to figure out, do I want to follow this podcast or not?
Am I going to listen to the next one?
And should I even bother listening to the whole episode or not?
Yeah.
It was a lot of interest at the beginning because it was getting spread by a lot of people.
That last one was what, 50 or 60%?
50.
Look at that. 56.
This is with Nate.
Impressive.
That's really
real
good.
High. 80% retention rate.
Very good. That's a good one.
Yeah. That one was good. And see, this stuff kind of helps figure out what your audience wants to hear.
I mean, it depends on who your audience is. This is the one we did right before the election, talking about the deception. 28%, 67, 56, 50.
Still not bad.
Not too bad.
A good one.
Not too bad, yeah. At least until, 30%. I mean, the third quarter.
And then the one with me and Brandon.
Brandon Hugs.
Let's see here.
Huggies, 50%. Wow, 92% right there.
First
58.
First quartile.
Yeah, it's the first 25%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's
here's
not
the
bad.
thing, though.
That's not bad. It's around 50% average.
Yeah.
And this last one.
And this last one, it's kind of early.
To
tell. Like, a lot of people haven't listened to it.
Oh, because it was just released this week, right?
Yeah, on Monday.
Okay. Yeah.
And the fact that our podcasts run longer takes people longer to get through them.
Yeah, they
which
might
is not
listen
a bad thing,
over a couple of days or something.
Because that's how I am with Joe Rogan, for example.
50% complete, 46, 15.
Yeah, but the numbers are, I think, the numbers getting progressively smaller for starts, streams, listeners. That might factor in.
They always do, though, because it's like kind of a leg effect. Some people are still catching up on older episodes, so till they catch up, look at Anchor. Look at the graph of listener top episodes. It's from the beginning to the end. First episode, second episode, third, fourth, fifth, sixth,
it just
seventh,
keeps
eighth.
going
It's
down.
because it's an older episode. I mean, the first one did really well in regards to, I guess, attention compared to the rest. I mean,
Well, it was something new. Everyone's like, "Oh, let's give it a listen. Let's see what it's
only getting
about."
359 plays. If you think about it in the grand scheme of podcasts, that's not a lot of plays.
That's not at all.
Very insignificant.
But for
Very
us,
small.
that was the biggest one, obviously.
The
Yeah.
pinnacle of our
To
life.
reach on the
for
first,
us.
to reach on the first episode, that many people, it's good enough to start gaining a little bit of traction.
Yeah, and then you just have your
Entire nation.
basically your disciples right now. They're the only ones sticking around.
Yeah.
And Jesus had
Basically
70,
you're-
but only 12.
Yeah.
So
Hey, if you have
Stuck
12, listen, if you have a small amount of people,
You have
but
enough to impact the world.
you do a good job and you teach them some good stuff, maybe that's how you get even more impact, you know?
And look, United States, Canada are the top 2 countries listening.
Yeah.
Next, Austria, UK, Spain, Singapore, Romania,
Singapore.
Germany.
That's crazy.
that one for sure is accident. How the heck did that Singapore?
Singapore's
That is
been there
an
for a
accident.
while.
That's
Yeah, I know. It's
accidental,
always going to be
bro.
there.
Central Singapore Community Development Council.
What?
Shoot. 100%.
That's a geographic location?
Maybe it was a VPN that someone had to.
Yeah. That I was gonna say maybe it might be Germany. Romania.
Thuringia. Who's from Thuringia? Let us know.
Yeah.
Send us a message.
You might not even be listening anymore.
Francia. What the heck?
These might be like you said, VPNs.
Spain. Who's Madrid? Someone in Madrid's listening. Shout out to you guys. All these spots we're looking at. UK doesn't say. Austria doesn't say. Canada.
I don't know,
we've got
bro.
Ontario, Alberta, and BC. Shout out to our Canadian listeners.
Yep.
And then US. California even. Holy smokes.
So, what were you saying? Nard?
No, I was just I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was
And,
saying
and,
earlier.
and here's the thing: it's tough.
How do we enjoy
especially
it?
when you have other commitments that are definitely, you could say, more important.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure he could say his commitments that he has would be, he would consider to be more of greater importance.
It is the highest priority, really.
Yeah.
But let me paint you a picture. What if you can grow this to have such a large following where you can have an enormous impact? I'm not saying it obviously doesn't right now, but what if you get it to that point?
It's good.
You can have a greater impact than maybe
It's a different
priority you currently have.
No, I think it would be a different impact
Yeah.
because serving within the church and within a group of people, you have contact with them, physical contact with them. You speak to them, you spend time with them, you can disciple them in a different way opposed to in a virtual way. It's limited, but yeah, it definitely can have impact. I'm not saying it can't have impact, but it's a different type of impact. I think you hopefully moving closer in the coming time will make it much easier. I think it would actually make it a lot easier because driving
is that something you want to do?
Yeah, I was
kinda-
mentioning on the last
yeah.
on the last
because
podcast.
driving 2 hours is there and back is
Or
We're planning
an
on
hour
getting
and
out
a
of the
half.
city.
an hour and a half, an hour 40 minutes. Yeah, they want to move out of the city, so
And
move closer.
with that being
by.
said, obviously we would like to get closer to family
Yeah,
for multiple reasons,
yeah,
like a large number of reasons.
yeah. So I think that would make it. That would actually ease the burden big time for at least part of it, part of the burden.
Mm-hmm.
The other part is obviously,
on
what
the drive or the
yeah,
like, getting to
the time. Hey,
the time. Yeah.
So I think the question is like, okay, how?
Here's a question.
What's the direction?
In regards to the whole time commitment and location of podcasts and all that, could we set this up permanently somewhere else?
By permanent, how permanent and where?
Where you don't have to keep putting it together and tearing it back up when you're done, and then put it back together when.
What do you mean?
What do you mean by that? Like,
Basically, like anchoring the arms, bringing the soundboard. Like, can you leave the equipment there?
I mean, you
The lights, the cameras.
you can you don't you usually
you're
leave
doing
it?
it here.
Yeah, but I'm talking about moving this to a different location where it's better for you guys, maybe for time wise, in regards to time. Even though that's a small portion of the issue.
That doesn't really solve the issue because then it flips on you.
Yeah, but that's just me.
But it still doesn't really solve the issue. It just kind of flips.
It just makes the burden then on you.
Yeah.
For me, that issue is temporary, though.
Well,
I guess for you guys too.
Listen,
I mean-
I think personally the biggest issue for me
is the content
creative-
is
content side?
is I don't feel like this is not high caliber because you're not going to be like you can't compete with some.
There's
of the
only a
big
certain
stuff.
level you can, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we're just a layman.
Yeah, I have trouble like coming to grips with the quality of the content. That's my biggest.
How do you increase the quality? Because we're all laymen. You did engineering. I did biology. You're carpentry.
I'm a business.
He's a
businessman.
He's a true builder.
You're a true builder and entrepreneur.
Carpentry is the only form of true construction. Some wise man once said.
So, I mean, we're not necessarily experts, and I mean, probably Dennis, out of all of us, has an expertise in something. And then
You have an expertise in forklift driving, so don't beat
yeah,
yourself
I
up.
guess I have that too.
He's a beast.
But I mean, you can only go so far. You can only
with the forklift.
yeah, and then you got to get in the car and drive. 'Cause that's only gonna take you so
That
far.
was good.
Someone once said to become an expert in any field, you have to, let's say, commit to it an hour a day. Commit whatever that commitment is, and it every day for a year.
Don't you think that
And it's not just becoming expert in something.
just knowing that?
It's
Aren't we becoming experts in podcasting by doing this once? Not every day, but once a week for an hour or two.
you could say we're becoming expert conversationalists. Like you could develop they're not even social skills, conversation skills. You could become a better conversationalist. You can learn how to better discuss, how to guide conversations and all that.
So
no doubt podcasting can help you in that, but by no means.
So basically, we're building skills right now. Still,
Well,
One
skill.
One wise man told me that, not told me, I heard from a wise man say that about the first half of your life, you're learning. And then the second half of your life is where you start applying more what you learned.
learning is
The
very
first half.
humbling.
Yeah.
Because then you realize you're dumb.
You have to be humble to learn. You can't learn if you're prideful.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Right.
we're doing the right
Right.
thing with the podcast.
Right.
Screw what you guys are saying.
Right. Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something.
Here's what I think we should do. Or this is what I think should be done. Not even we, but should be done. Let's say a hiatus, let's say. And then let's say me personally, you and others can
Define hiatus for those who don't know what it means.
hiatus.
A
We
break.
have a wide
break.
audience.
An undisclosed amount of time
Yeah.
of
An
Of a
X
break.
amount of time
an
could
X
be
or Y or
2
Z.
weeks, 3 weeks, a month, a year.
It could be a day. If
a
you
day.
think a day
So
is
are you guys
enough,
breaking up with me? Or
No.
what? No, it's like when you're dating.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna take a break.
I mean,
Remember, I'm friends
No,
with
this
perhaps
is
friends with
thi-
Ross.
This
and-
is
perhaps that will be a result of the hiatus, but I don't know.
this is an option, an idea that is being put on the table.
Mhm.
Hiatus.
the hiatus.
Let's brainstorm. What do we want to do?
And then, or
Here's-
what do
here's
you
How do we do it?
Or what do you?
What do we concentrate on?
Here's one of my issues with that. Not that it's an issue. I'm not against it.
You think you're going to lose traction?
No, I'm not even worried
No,
about
we're gonna
that.
come back with the second wave.
My issue is
Is
this.
there another water over there?
For example, when we
Oh, that's
spoke,
fine.
about like maybe, hey, let's think, let's generate topics for the next podcast for us to talk about. I'm just as guilty as everyone else. Didn't put much work into it
Yeah.
to actually figure it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing because
So I feel like
Oh.
taking a quote unquote hiatus is just going to be us just taking a break and that's it.
Okay. I also have.
I'll get you a water.
All right.
We'll keep talking. I'm listening.
I was thinking about, and this is something that we were going to hit on last episode, but about ambition. I think going forward and trying to put that a higher quality content or kind of have a direction, more of a direction, requires also ambition, a certain amount of ambition.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I lack.
I think
I'm not saying in this.
I
I'm
was-
saying I lack ambition and just generally, I guess, of doing something.
I think we, as a family, are just very passive guys. Sometimes I think, man,
I think a lot of
This
people
is
are like
like-
that, dude.
I don't know
it's
if
a family
I don't know
thing.
if I've seen, you
I think
know,
there's a lot of people.
a group of 5 guys that are more passive.
Hold on. I'm going to put myself aside just a little bit by saying that I am
You are married. You're living in your own.
I comes in waves. Like I get ambitious and then it crashes, and then I get ambitious and then it crashes, and maybe that's everybody. Whoever's ambitious,
I
goes
probably
through
had that, but I've been kind of just like flatline for a while.
But for me, it's been for example, when we did trading, like I was hardcore ambitious
I was
into
too.
it.
I was too.
You guys
Dude,
are, I'm so
I went
excited to wake
nuts.
up at 7.
I was,
Heck,
bro.
I was waking up at 5, not even
I was.
7.
I was.
Okay, that's
Right
my
now, I'm
point.
waking up at 5 to do finance.
And then it crashes, you know. The
Bro,
ambition
why are
crashes.
you bringing that topic up?
Because maybe it's time to get back into it. No, it's just the example of like getting ambitious and then it crashes. Like even with my business, it's the same thing. I get hype, I'm going hard, and then all of a sudden it crashes, and then you're like, why am I even in construction?
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
See,
I'm wasting my time, and then like, am I even building my business?
You have to be passionate
But-
to a certain extent of what you're doing for that ambition to remain.
But
You have
here's
to be
the non-ambitious moments is when you start questioning what you're doing,
yeah.
which causes you to think about what do you need to change, which in turn helps you either fail so you can learn to improve, or
Hunker
it
down.
gets you your success
Yeah.
that you're looking for.
Right.
Like
Like what we're talking about here, taking the hiatus. We're gonna keep saying hiatus, and then
will
maybe
either push us to success or
we're gonna crash after that hiatus and be like, okay, we
Look,
need to change something else.
listen, I don't mind. I actually enjoy
The
this.
broadcast.
I love it.
I actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's the stress of like, okay, what are we going to talk about?
But the actual production, you're saying you enjoy.
Like sitting here and doing
I just
this
love,
and doing it.
I
doing
I
it part.
enjoy. I enjoy sitting down and talking and having it recorded. Why not? I don't really care. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I don't want the stress of it. So that's why I'm saying like that informal. No.
No, I know what you're saying.
Like just sitting down and talking and that's it. But you also have to have a level of passion about what you're talking about, or some sense of
a
direction.
level of knowledge.
And a level of knowledge, a sense
Yeah.
of direction, because that makes it less stressful
And that's
and more enjoyable.
and that's where my idea is in regards to having guests.
Like, I don't need ambition to do this.
Right.
I can just sit down and talk.
Right.
Talking is the ambition is like, hey, we gotta. It's the stress of it needs to succeed, and it doesn't necessarily need to succeed. Honestly, man.
I know.
As long as I'm enjoying it and we're having good conversation, even amongst ourselves, and some people are listening, I'll do it. I will.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say no.
That's why I like, to be honest, looking over those analytics.
I'm not going to say no.
I haven't looked at them very much. Like, that's why I didn't know my numbers.
Do you know
We're
what?
just looking at it
Do you
now.
know what was I gonna say?
Because it doesn't
Ambition.
matter to me as much.
Yeah.
Either like I said, you do a lot of effort on front end production, or you were saying you like to just sit down and talk, right? Or let's say another way you could do it is, let's say let's say you move close. Let's say we're at your house talking, and all of a sudden we're getting in a discussion, and it's becoming more interesting. You say, "Hey, let's go on the podcast real quick."
No, because that kills that conversation right away. You have to just sit down and talk.
Bro, you just have to set up cameras in the house with mics everywhere.
Just bug your whole house.
Bug your house, and then just cut out those conversations,
It's like,
bro.
and then it's like a reality TV show.
It's literally a reality TV show. At that point.
That's like me just giving like
That's
an order to
no,
the
no.
FBI and the CIA.
No, have a room.
And
Where
you
a
put
conversation
put
room.
a legal disclaimer that
You step in this room.
When you step in this
you're
room,
being
you will be recorded.
Yeah.
You agreed to recording.
Audio and
there-
video recording.
And there's a great possibility you might find yourself on.
You
some
might be online
podcast.
on the internet. So watch out what you say.
And that's the only room I hang out in when people are over.
Like I said, man. No, I think you can also have a mixture of that. I was just thinking when you said that. You can have a mixture of that. And I think also, like, if you do that front end work, like you were saying, and you have the sense of direction and you have a certain topic or in a certain knowledge of what you want to say, that might take the stress off a little bit and make it enjoyable when you just sit down and just talk.
And here's the thing
You know?
about that is because I'm like I said, becoming big in podcasting is not something that I just like was.
I wanna do that.
I wanted to do so bad.
I want to get big
I
in
don't
trading.
know if I feel like I should be the one coming up with the brainstorming.
I
and-
think if we want to do that and try that, and I don't think you should say, "Hey, I'm done." I think let's take that hiatus or 2 weeks or whatever, and all of us brainstorm together because 3 minds is better than one.
that's hard to do. Also, when there's like we were saying, when he's 45, 50 minutes away. And
Well,
it's hard to find
sometimes
time.
you come like once a week, probably, right?
On average.
On
yeah.
average. On one of those times that he comes, and that's why it's a hiatus. It's not like, hey, we have to have it in 2 weeks because that's stress. No, we got to have it in 2 weeks. Next time he comes on a Saturday or whatever, you just sit down for a couple hours and just talk. And
You didn't
it's
spell it right.
Hiitus. Yeah.
There you go. A
H-I-A-T-U-S.
positive
That's,
gap
US.
that's how good my
in a
English is.
sequence, series, or progress.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, let it not be stressful, but you come maybe next week or a week after or something. Let's just sit down. Let's just talk. Spit out some ideas, and we can, like today. This conversation is one of those conversations that I just mentioned. Just like we just sat down, like you were still setting up stuff. Me and Alex started talking. I just pressed record, and we just kept talking what we were doing, and then you joined in.
Here's my, because you guys are talking about how this is like my brainchild. That's been kind of my view from when I originally started, where it's just a relaxed, super casual, just sit down and talk, and to try to bring guests on, which can influence and change up the conversation. So it's not like you're always talking about the same subjects.
But obviously, that's pretty difficult.
And it's difficult to find the guests and get people to commit to coming on.
And listen, if you have a layman guest like just another one of us,
that's not a bad thing because you just bring a different perspective.
it's not a bad thing, but you tend to usually just keep talking about the same topics a lot of times, like politics, because politics is like a default.
When Nathan came on,
that was good.
That was good because he had his
questions,
his topic, so to speak,
yeah.
of what he was wanting to address.
Yeah.
which we wouldn't have addressed that. We wouldn't have talked about that stuff ourselves.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
You know,
But
and it's not like
Do you know what's
he's
good?
he's an awesome dude. I love Nate.
yeah.
I love Nate, but you can't say like he's some special.
Oh no.
He's like a blue collar intellectual.
Yeah, but you can't say he's some special like
No.
you know, like you mentioned Alex Jones, like a
Right.
fountain of knowledge or whatever. Like we're just normal guys talking
Yeah.
here.
But before you say what you were gonna say, but let's say
But stink.
because you're not gonna always have the guests, but then we can't keep having the same conversations, you know?
Yeah.
Like the default is right now politics because it's so like boom.
That's
Default.
that's
And
what
that's what's
the
going
center of
on.
attention
I
That's
was
the
about to
center of
say
this world.
shock collar. I was gonna shock value, not shock collar. Shock value. Maybe politics is something like it's not really though. But I was saying how I was
Obviously
thinking
you
how shock value can be good sometimes. Bring some crazy person on.
Leftist.
Bring a crazy person. I don't.
Yeah.
Bring some
Bernie Sanders?
some wacko on. You're close enough to St. Louis or you are in St. Louis, and I'm sure there's some pretty interesting people,
Bro.
And if
yeah.
I don't know if you guys watched that podcast I sent you by Theo Vaughn. Well, he's a comedian. He's like celebrity status, but sometimes he just has normal people. Like he had,
Pull somebody in off the street type normal people. or
well,
what?
he had a plumber on, and he found.
Oh yeah, I saw that. You
he
sent me.
He found the plumber's ad on Craigslist. That's how he brought him in. And everyone in the comments was like, dude, this was one of your best episodes. It was just a normal plumber. They were talking about plumbing and obviously stuff about his life too and certain situations he got into.
that's
Like
sick.
working at people's houses, like certain things that he ran into. And it was, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half, maybe up to 2 hours in between there. And it was super interesting. It was just a normal plumber off the streets. Like obviously he was successful. And then he also had a mortician. And they had like a 2 hour conversation. He was just asking them questions about like their job and like things that happened and what about this. And
Yeah.
so, and those were some of like people in the comments were saying, man, you should have like more normal people on, you know?
or more wackos.
I'm like I have recently invited Lane
Like, yeah,
to come on the podcast.
because I was thinking, I was like, what are you going to talk about with a plumber? Like people are interested and people are interested.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it also depends on the person too. The person has to be able to, converse and not be awkward and try to,
Yeah.
obviously, hopefully that's
But
a
everyone,
conversation you guys have and get to know each other before.
even
a
if
little
it
bit.
starts, it always sucks, obviously, if it does. But even if it starts off kind of awkward, it ends up balancing out.
Well, that's why you don't do it live. And if it just wrecks, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not airing that one.
Yeah. Or just air it
Which
anyway.
has not happened yet.
Or just air it anyway.
Or
And
just
just be
And
transparent.
maybe
be
that
like, look,
awkwardness is going to
is
be
what it
like,
is.
hey, people are going to watch that because it's awkward.
we're
I don't
being
know.
authentic. We're airing
Yeah.
everything.
It was a 20-minute episode. Yeah, I don't know. It's
So
Alex, bring on that pastor.
what pastor?
Some pastor he's telling me to bring on.
I was
He
telling
has
Dennis.
some radical views.
No, it was I told him
Eleven.
earlier, but I'm saying like
Well, maybe.
Marcus told me about him. He was in
Oh,
the Presbyterian guy.
oh, you sent me
who-
a video. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Presbyterian pastor who was on the streets just really advocating support for Black Lives Matter and all this stuff.
Yeah, and
he
like
was using the Bible,
gay
to
marriage
do
and
that.
stuff too.
Yeah.
I think.
Or I don't even
I
think.
mean,
if
I
he was
don't know
using-
then.
I don't even think if he was using the Bible, he wasn't using.
You're just
much
using
of the Bible.
social justice,
And-
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he has some radical views, and Marcus said that he looked him up on
Facebook.
Facebook.
He sent me
or
a sermon of
sermons,
his,
and
yeah.
he says he was preaching similar things. But that's
like
what I'm
Gay
saying.
marriage and stuff. Yeah.
I sent you him.
Mm-hmm.
You should. I mean, watch. I was saying, watch a sermon, see how whack this guy is.
Listen,
and then
like
not
if
whack, but not even whack.
Like,
but it's similar. It's very different viewpoints because obviously you can't bring him with the with
you-
the mindset, this guy's
yeah.
whack, let's interview him.
But when you have someone like that on, you have to have questions ready, kind of go through some of his content if he has it, and kind of like
Challenges.
Question.
or how come you see, like, how do you see this? Why? Blah blah blah.
Just to get an understanding of how and why he sees what he sees the way he does.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Well,
ambition.
I mean, this conversation alone has been very productive because having times like this where you have to stop, pause, reflect, and then pivot
Yeah.
Stop, drop, and roll.
is very important.
Being
Which this is the first time we're really going through
Yeah.
this in this podcast.
criticizing ourselves.
First time, but it's been something that's been,
Yeah,
personally
lurking,
on my mind
lurking.
for a while.
Yeah.
It's been pressing on my mind for a bit too, but I haven't really thought about it or articulated it in my mind yet until he kind of brought it up, and I was like, hey, actually, that's kind of, I've been thinking about that somewhat too.
Yeah.
It just hasn't really matured, I guess, in my mind to articulate it and to.
And like I think in the description of the podcast, like this podcast is growing. And this is how you said the perfect label for this episode is going to be growing pains.
Birth pains.
Birth pains, whatever.
Or birth pangs. Or listen, criticism or rebuke or correction is always tough. It humbles you,
Depends how you take it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like here I take it in an accepting way. Like I welcome and I want it.
Well, we're kind of self-criticizing because we're all kind of part of this together,
the tough
right?
part is
So
when
it's
like
When someone else comes,
It's self-criticism, but it's also like some of these things are things that people have told me too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
that's tough when people outside come and criticize, and hopefully, if they criticize in meekness and correct you or try to correct you and obviously we're talking in this context, but it can be in anything spiritually too. Like if they do it in meekness and love, and if you're wise, you will accept it, as the Bible says. If you are not, you are a fool. And that doesn't mean they're always right or they're always wrong and I'm always right. But that means like, hey, let's investigate what this critique is, from either other people or within ourselves. Okay, let's investigate that.
If it's true or not.
Let's like you said, stop, reflect. Let's see what's happening. And a lot of times that does produce growth if you're wise.
Have you guys ever looked into? It's kind of on the same topic, but it's a bit of a change of topic or change of idea. Have you guys ever looked or watched any of the first more original Joe Rogan episodes?
I think I might have.
I was thinking about going back
I think I might
and
have
watching.
skimmed through some of it.
Like,
Where it's
way
like in
back.
his basement
Is
or
it?
in his house.
I actually started watching his first one or something. Like
How
just
was
skimmed
that?
through it. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
I mean, it was the camera and the
Okay,
audio.
you can say the production is
and
bad.
the
but
production
what
was
about,
bad.
What about what he was actually
I
saying?
didn't stick around. Is what I'm trying to say.
I think it was just him and his friend or something
Yeah.
in a basement, and they were just
I
doing
didn't,
it.
I didn't want to watch it
Yeah, I didn't feel like watching it
or
either.
listening to it.
Yeah. But he already had
He was a comedian.
a level of clout,
Yeah.
of celebrity, of
Yeah. Which, granted, podcasting in general has changed a lot since then.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're making that bad of, not that back then, that was probably pretty good. I didn't even listen.
That
I
was like-
knew podcasts existed back then.
That was
I
like
just
10
never
years
paid
ago,
any
or
attention
maybe
to them at
maybe
all.
more than 10 years ago.
Honestly, I've only really come to
Like my
know
first,
about podcasting within like the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Same.
seriously,
Yeah.
my first,
Like,
well,
I've heard
I didn't have an iPhone. My first iPod, I knew
Yeah,
about podcasts.
Same, because
but I did not care at all about it.
You see the podcast that it had, like the option to go to the podcast, but
and I knew what it was. I just why would I ever waste
why
my
would
time?
I ever listen to audio? Like, yeah.
So back then, I'm
Phones
sure that
have
was
made
good.
Phones have made it a lot.
I'm
a
sure
lot
that was
easier.
a good podcast for back then.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, because that was
Maybe.
I don't know how old the one I saw was, but 5 to 10 years ago, that probably would have been a pretty decent podcast. I would assume.
Maybe.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. If the level of quality for podcasts are just on the up.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like we have a pretty decent quality
Production
setup here,
side,
production
yeah.
wise.
For
If you're,
beginning,
if you're talking about audio and stuff, yeah.
Audio and video quality.
even video. It's decent.
One thing I know I'm lacking on, and I need to upgrade, is the studio, so to speak.
Yeah.
The
You do what you
surrounding.
can, though, you know?
But
You got the sick flag,
that's a little bit less important right now than
the banner and the flag.
actually doing the podcast. And then the other thing is, I was talking with a customer of mine who's I consider him a friend as well. He's a photographer, professional photographer, videographer here in St. Louis, and one thing he suggested, which he hasn't, I don't think he's watched or seen the podcast, but one thing he suggested was like, if you're doing multiple cameras, to use the exact same camera, because it'll look different with the different cameras.
Oh, interesting.
And that's what I have, two totally different cameras, and the picture does look different. So people, I'm sure some people might catch
something
that,
you can
but
change, I guess, in time, but
I know it's little things that you improve
over time.
on the production side to slowly make things better. But
Yeah.
I know I have areas to improve in regards to that, like the studio, so to speak.
But
can only
I
do so
think
much.
ultimately
The
those
sick table.
those things are like low on the priority list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
If
The
you're
podcast,
the content is number one.
Of course.
podcast content is, and that's why
And the quality of
Even
audio,
if you had one 360 mic right here, but the content was good,
it'd be
it'd be good.
It'd be
Oh, yeah.
fun. Yeah.
But here's the other thing. That's why I decided to just go ahead and start recording and start putting stuff out there and not worry that much about the studio area and blah, 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 because it's about getting the content out there. Yeah. And now we're getting to a point of like, okay, we've done 8 episodes, I think.
Is there 9?
This is episode 9, which
Where
they
are we
say,
going?
which they say,
you're gonna publish this and call it Birthing Pans, huh?
yeah, I'm going to publish it.
You're gonna put
As raw as it is,
It's
I
raw.
love it. I honestly love how raw it is. Episode 9.
you
Dude,
like your meat medium rare, huh? Or
Yeah.
even rare.
We just had a
Give
steak
it to me
before,
rare.
bro.
Listen,
Yeah.
they say that if you make it to episode 7,
Dude, do not.
They
Well,
say
listen,
You're
us-
basically
for
drawing
us-
the similarity
No, no,
between
no.
your 7 of podcast and 7 years of marriage
no,
or
no,
episodes.
I honestly heard this from somebody. If you can make it past episode 7, you can make podcasting. But for us, it's making it past episode 9.
Yeah.
People, okay, using the same analogy, people go 20, 25 years in marriage and they still
They
get
still
divorced.
break up, yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, there's probably other things that play
Anyways.
there.
right.
It's time to
That's once their kids move out and they realize who the heck am I married to because they haven't spent time together. But anyway,
Yeah, it's time to
How long has this one been?
sit down and think, and
an hour.
an hour and 6 so far.
Oh,
6.
okay.
I mean,
That's
we
not
kind of
bad.
started the conversation prior to this
Yeah.
recording, but
But
everyone's jumping into the middle of our conversation and then jumping out at the end with us. But
that was fine.
All right.
yeah,
Maybe 20%, 30, 40, 50% we'll make it at the end. Give us your thoughts.
yeah.
Why not? Don't criticize us
But
too hard
to
because we
those-
self-criticized.
hey,
Drop the criticisms, man.
to
Just
those-
bring them
To those
Roast
who will,
us.
on fire.
for those who will complete the race, they will be given
The-
a crown,
the crown of glory,
and they will
the
be
crown
given
of
the right to
righteousness.
eat from the tree of life.
Yeah, and they're going to sit on the throne
No, but
And
seriously, roast
and
us.
reign with
Like,
Christ.
give us the criticism hard.
Not with meekness, like be
No,
savage.
No. Hey, but here's the thing.
I'm joking, guys.
Let me be
Don't-
savage and you be
Cri-
gentle.
Criticism without any changes will amount. There's no
For
point.
sure.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is, I don't know.
Well,
We'll
That's the thing is what?
it's just like we
we
said.
gotta
We get together next time you come by or something and just have a couple hours, sit down, brainstorm, talk.
Alex is the engineer, so he should put together some
map.
sort of formula,
Some
a map,
But like I
formula to
said,
success.
the fact that this
ways we can implement different changes.
The fact that this is not my brainchild, kind of like it feels burdensome to me just to come up with that creative, to do that creative, side of things.
Let me tell you this.
I don't know. That's how I feel.
The kingdom of heaven is not our brainchild either, but we've been adopted into it.
Look,
Right.
it's not about you putting it together. It's us getting together. There's three minds. We can have whatever. Lux there, if Ondo's there, have them have input, whatever. But
It is okay. It is I guess you could say it is my podcast. I guess
Right.
It gets uploaded on my account. It's on my email. Blah 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 blah. Right. We're just gonna annoy people with all these rights.
That's something that we always do. We get it from one of our cousins, if you don't know.
he's an ossifer.
That's our. That could be our kind of like the. What are those guys? The conservative twins, the Hodge twins.
The Hodge twins.
Yeah.
The Hodges.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot, what was I gonna say?
Something good, no doubt.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, that's the end of this
Close
one.
it up.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you guys stuck around till the end,
Wow.
I'm really proud of you guys.
God
You'll be
bless you
given
guys,
a crown
man.
of victory. If
Yeah.
You stuck around till the end.
Honestly, if you stuck around to the end, message me and let me know. I'm seriously super
Those are our
curious to see who
those
stuck
are
around.
those
to the
are
end.
the super fans.
The super fans.
Like
yo.
you guys deserve to have like your names, plaqued here on the back
You
wall.
deserve
or
a
something.
shout out on the
Platinum
on an
donor
episode.
over there.
Seriously though, I am actually. If you guys care, I would care to know who stuck around to the end of this one
Yeah, why not?
because it's kind of interesting to see who's sticking to in that retention rate, so to speak. But especially on this podcast because it was a different one.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys think about it. Give us your feedback, and until next time, peace out, everybody.